This is how our page looks right now. Not really very attractive, right? Let's try and make it a little bit more attractive in the next few steps. In this step, what we would be doing is we would be using something called JSTL tags. JSTL stands for JSP Standard Tag Library. In this JSTL, there is something called a for loop. So there is a tag for doing a for loop similar to our for loop in Java. So we'll use that tag. Let's get started. Just like any Java class. In a Java class, if I want to import something, if I want to use a class model map, what I need to do? Before that, I would need to do an import, right? So I have to say import model map somewhere, and only then I'll be able to use it, right? Similar to that, we have something called a tag library. So you need to have this tag in your JSP where you would want to use it. So I want to make use of the JSTL tag in here. So I need to add a tag library and create a prefix for it. This prefix is the name we are going to use to refer to this tag library. From now on, if he says C colon something, then the request goes to this tag library. So that's quite a simple thing. So if I want to use a tag, I have to add a tag lib URI and the prefix at the start of the JSP page. Now let's save it and let's relaunch the application. I'll do a refresh. Aha! I'm getting a HTTP status 500. The absolute URI JSTL core cannot be resolved. Web.xml, all the jar files deployed within this application. Why is it so? Because to use JSTL, we need a jar. So the JSTL jar is this. So we need to add this dependency to the, where do we add dependencies? Think about it. You are right. Let's open up our favorite pom.xml. We are making the Maven do a lot of work for us. So let's add one more thing. So JSTL. So I'll add JSTL right next to the Java EE web API, right? I mean, it's part of the, it's really related to the Java EE API. So I'll add it right next to it. After a long time, we have to restart this server because this is a new jar that we added in. So what you'd see slowly, if I kill the server, you see that now in the Maven dependencies, we have JSTL jar. So in the Maven dependencies, this is where the Maven dependency is. You'd see JSTL.jar because I've added it in here. Now I can restart the server. So let's go ahead and restart the server. As usual, it's been a long time since we did this. You could have already also done this. Right click, run as Maven build tomcat 7 colon run and click run. But that's okay. Actually, server has started up. So let's go ahead and see what's happening now. Okay, the page came up fine. That means the import is working fine. So now in the list to-dos.jsp, the import is working fine. We have not made use of the tag yet. So let's use the tag now. The syntax of the for loop is very, very simple. So C for each. That's what we know, right? For each. And it would, if you press a control space bar, it would also now list the different things which are present in here. What we would want to loop around is, what do we want to loop around? To-dos. So items is equal to to-dos, and the variable that we would want to create for each thing is to-do. So it's very similar to for to-do, to-do, to-dos. So this is exactly the same as this. So this for each is very same as the for loop that we do. So now we have the to-do. So I can now say to-do dot dollar. In the to-do we have ID, user and description. So let's add a couple of ones. So to-do dot ID and to-do dot description and to-do dot user. Let's refresh the page. Oops, there's an exception report. The reason we get an error is because we need to use a variable in here as well. So we need to give JSTL in here as well. So it's dollar open brace to-dos close brace. So that's how it should have been. I just gave to-dos and that was not sufficient. Let's refresh the page. Okay, now I don't really like the way it is being displayed for now, but that's okay. Let's format it in a better way. For now, we'll add a new line. So this is how our page looks right now. Your to-dos are 1, 2, and 3. Learn Spring MVC and the name in 28 minutes. Not really well formatted, I understand that, but this is much better than what we had earlier. So Let's quickly try and put it into a table. The way we show information typically when we are using HTML, I mean when I want to show lots of information, I go in for something called a table. Let's use a table and let's show the to-dos in a table right now. The syntax for table is very simple actually. So you can directly start typing in table. So that's one. So I would want to give a caption to this table. Caption is like a heading. So the caption that I would want to use is your to-dos are. In a table, you'd have a header row and a body. The header row is T head. Inside the head, you put in everything that you would want as part of your table header. And the other stuff is T body. And inside the T body, you would have all the rows of data. So I would want to have a lot of rows of data. So I'll just put in some data in there. And in the T head would be your headings. I'll add a tr in here as well and /tr. So that's basically what we have right now. So you have a T head, T body inside a table with the rows in there. So I'll add a few headings in here as well. I've added in 3 headings: th, description, date completed. Description, actually it should be target date, and is completed. Let's be as clear as we can. So this is how it should have been. And now I would want to populate all the data in the rows. For now, I would populate one row. So tr, what do we want to do? We want to populate the data. Data is populated typically in td. So I'll create 3 tds for the data. So description, test, description, td, test, date, and is completed, yes, or true, false, whatever. So let's start with this. Let's now refresh the page. Okay, so the table that we have is displayed in here. So it has a caption and is being displayed in here, but it's not really showing the real data because we have not added the real data in yet. So let's go ahead and add in the real data quickly. So what we want to do is to use this. So what I will do is T-body, inside the T-body, I would put this loop in. So now this tr should go. So for every row, we create a new tr. So that's basically what we do. And we are not showing the ID right now, so we are showing the description. So I'll copy description into the place where the description has to be down here. User also is not being shown. Let's say to-do dot. The variable is named is done, but in Java bean convention, if you have a is, then you'd need to eliminate it. So you can just say to-do dot done. You'd see that if you do a to-do dot is done, you'll get an error. Try that for sure. Give it a try. And here the date. The date which we have is target date. Aha. So it was quite simple. Now I can remove this BR. I don't need a BR anymore. So now we have put the entire content into table. So all that we have is your to-dos are description, target date is completed, and we are looping around the to-dos and we are printing them out. So it's quite simple. If you are not able to create this table by hand, probably you can look at our GitHub. We are in step 23 and the entire JSP is out down here. There's not really a lot of things in here. This is quite a simple thing. So just go ahead and take a look and see if you have any problems. Now let's go ahead and refresh. Okay, there you go. So now we have a description, a target date is completed, and we have a little bit of formatting around the whole thing. That's very good. There are still a lot of rough edges. The table borders are not perfect. The way the date is displayed is not really according to what we want. Is completed also can be improved a little bit. But on an overall level, this is much better than where we were before we started this step. This is step 23, where we focused on displaying the to-dos in a table with JSTL. So what we used is something called a C for each tag, which is part of the JSTL, JSP standard tag library, and we looped around the whole list of to-dos. And to be able to do this, we added a dependency for JSTL into our pom.xml and made the Maven do the magic for us. Until the next step, bye-bye.